Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So the last couple of days have been interesting, to say the least. We are currently at the point where, because we have, and I mean any kind of movement within the market, it's kind of sparking a number of discussions. People seem to be trying to outdo each other. If you've seen any of the last 5 videos, there's a trend that's picking up quite quickly. And I mean, to be completely fair, it is an optimistic trend, but it's also getting like a little bit out of hand. However, I do commend the immense amount of optimism. Optimism is definitely the word that I'm going to use there. Saylor is back in the news. He says that he foresees Bitcoin transforming the global financial system, predicting that each Bitcoin could be worth 10 million US dollars in the future. One of the most outspoken advocates of Bitcoin, Saylor, stated in an interview, and I quote, "The cost of Bitcoin going up to $10 million per coin. His prediction hinges on Bitcoin's fundamental attributes, and he calls it perfect money." If you've never heard Saylor, what's the other eccentric guy? The guy with the hat, Max Kaiser. And there's also a third person. I keep saying that they're like the eccentric Bitcoin trinity, where they talk about Bitcoin almost on like a holy level kind of thing, where they basically say, and I assume they also believe, that Bitcoin is some form of digital perfection. Not saying that it's not, but also if we can just be completely honest with ourselves. A lot of the advocacy, I believe, comes from the fact that these people got into the market when Bitcoin was like $1 to $3. So they tend to have a large amount of BTC. Therefore, Saylor explained that Bitcoin, unlike traditional currencies, derives its value from being decentralized and having a capped supply. He postulates that these qualities could significantly disrupt and reshape the global economy framework. He said, and I quote, "Bitcoin offers economic immortality." Contrasting with the fleeting nature of imperfect money systems, Saylor elaborated. I'm seeing a lot of, I'm not sure if we're seeing the same things on Twitter because of the algorithm. I'm seeing a lot of images and photos of people showing the US dollar with the infinity symbol and Bitcoin with only 21 million. And I mean like a repeat of the same kind of image over and over and over. I don't know what that is. It's almost, sometimes when I'm online, I feel like people are just figuring things out. Does anyone ever get that? Maybe it's just me because I'm always perusing and scouring the internet about crypto stuff. But I keep feeling like similar to to the Mt. Gox thing. Like, so many people just found out about what Mt. Gox was, and I'm like, how is that possible? How are you in this space and you haven't researched anything about the space? How are you just hearing? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm seeing a lot of people online now discussing how rare Bitcoin is, and I'm like, we knew that before. You needed a photo on Twitter to be like, oh my gosh, they can keep printing US dollars, but you can't print more Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't know. To illustrate his point, Saylor said, "What's the difference between perfect money and imperfect money? Perfect money is economic immortality. Imperfect money is we all have a short, brutal life." Now, when I talk about people being eccentric in this space, that's kind of also it. So I get that Bitcoin is like good and stuff, but saying the term economic immortality is like, okay. He went even further to say that the traditional economic practices are now obsolete due to Bitcoin's existence. Saylor drew a stark comparison between the past and the present, describing earlier economies akin to primitives using seashells and glass beads. So anyway, Michael Saylor has once again upped his number. The last we heard a number from him, we heard 250,000. Then we heard $500,000 per Bitcoin. Then we heard $1 million per Bitcoin, and now he's gotten to $10 million per coin. I assume I'm gonna give it mid-August, especially if we've been pumping in price. He's going to have another thing where he's talking about a $50 million or $100 million Bitcoin. So also, yeah, in this, I mean, it's the article is a little bit too long for my liking, but he also talks about and kind of predicts that China might get back into Bitcoin. And so I'll try and give it to you this way. For those of you who missed it around 3 or 4 weeks ago, the market was in a bit of a tizzy because everyone was acting as if we didn't get this news back in 2018. Someone released an article that Bitcoin is not banned in China, and everyone was like super optimistic and bullish. The problem is that we've known that since 2018. Bitcoin has never been banned in China. Day trading in Bitcoin in China is banned and illegal. You can not use it as a form of legal tender, but you can hold it, you can own it, and you can trade it through OTC, over-the-counter markets. For some reason, discussions, and I don't know how we got here as a people, discussions about the end of the US dollar have kind of grown into like a really weird, like Resident Evil kind of creature, where people are assuming that the end of the US dollar immediately means the like hyper mega ultra growth of Bitcoin, slash the idea that if the US dollar disappears, that a number of other countries who have failed spectacularly over the last 100 years economically, if you have read through history, are going to form a brand new currency that would only be used based off of the amount of Bitcoin that these people are holding. So there's just a really weird thing happening online where, once again, I am not an economics professor, but I like to read. I like to inform myself and know things about the past because it helps you to learn about the future. But a lot of people in crypto don't know about the past, and they keep saying really weird things about countries who are going to usurp the US dollar and only use Bitcoin. Or the idea that Bitcoin would survive and thrive. Do you remember in 2020 when the stock market went down and Bitcoin and Ethereum and every other coin completely crumbled into dust? The only reason why the system even works that we have now is actually because of the US dollar. We're not going to go deep into it, but the life that you have now, and I mean whether it be up or down economically, is because of the strength of the US dollar. So Bitcoin can slowly absorb dollars and then become like a juggernaut monolith. But the idea of the US dollar disappearing overnight and people around the world collectively being like, Bitcoin is crazy. I don't know any other way to actually put it. So I keep seeing people on Twitter discussing things that don't make any sense, like at all, whether it be from taxes or imports, from the US dollar to the history of money. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of misinformation that's going around. That's the Michael Saylor $10 million per coin and saying that China might eventually support Bitcoin. I think you're underestimating how much these countries want to keep their power structure. The idea of them giving up the money that they use to control everyone with and simply being like, okay, fine, for the people, decentralization is like, no, that's not how logic works. Also in the news is Jack Mallers. Jack Mallers is the CEO of Strike, not to be confused with Stripe with a P. Recently said he thinks a $1 million Bitcoin is reasonable. It's not impossible. Cool. Maller's price target was hinged on his projection of central banks printing money to prop up the bond markets. According to the executive, such a scenario would fuel Bitcoin too and was inevitable. Awesome. I think this made news because it was Jack Mallers, who isn't as prominent as he was before. He used to always, he was in the news as often as any other analyst, but he's kind of, I guess, maybe enjoying his billions upon billions of dollars. He's also the person who stood on stage and declared that Bitcoin was legal tender in El Salvador a number of years ago. So if he didn't believe that Bitcoin was going to $1 million, I would think we'd all be in trouble. Because this guy is actually rivaling Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey being like, I want to say like the final boss of like a video game, like just throwing Bitcoin at you. Jack Mallers is also like a hyper big believer in Bitcoin, and they kind of are always trying to one up each other to see who's more of a Bitcoin than the other. Also, I guess tying into this as well, like I said, it's nice to see the optimism, but I also really care for what I would call realism. Someone named Chad Steingraber has predicted that XRP is going to $250 next year. So remember the last, it's been about 4 or 5 videos. We recently had someone else say that, it was Samson Mao. Samson Mao said that Bitcoin is going to $1 million next year. We had someone recently who said that XRP. He said if you put $5,000 in, he said, this is not financial advice. Don't even sit there and act crazy. He said that if you put $5,000 into XRP, if the market does what it did in 2017, you might have, was it $2.9 million or something like that? So, we're getting a lot of this optimistic news, and I actually think it's wonderful because I'd much rather see news like this as opposed to people being like, well, XRP is going back down to 1 cent. Chad Steingraber has said that XRP is going to $250 next year, citing upcoming stablecoin regulations as a potential catalyst. For those of you who also have missed it, it's pretty easy to miss because it has to do with stablecoins. For some reason, people are hyper bullish on stablecoins right now. And I don't exactly know where it's coming from because we've had stablecoins for like 7 or so years. But where the market and the people many moons ago were quite terrified of stable coins and of you must remember that because people were also very afraid years ago of stable coins like taking over the market, like being the preferred way to send money. And then before, when everyone was terrified of cryptocurrency regulation, and I was like, it's gonna be exactly what it is for banks. They just are gonna want the same exact information. And then you drag us over to where we are now, where people are optimistic about regulation. And it's like, what? People think that stablecoin regulation within the United States in particular, regardless of the fact that we've been hearing this from 193 other countries on the planet about literal stablecoin regulation and how there's no big problem with it. As there's always a problem with something in the U.S. because of the U.S. SEC or the Senate and the Congress or the ABCs and any other letters that are out there. People think that the stablecoin regulation will open up the floodgates for extra money to pump into stablecoins within the United States, strengthening Tether, allowing them to print more Tether, therefore adding extra liquidity to the market, therefore raising prices. Same exact thing with XRP, as Ripple has announced that they are going to, in the future, release a stable coin. And I made sure to mention in the future because someone created, it's crazy. Someone created a fake XRP stable coin on the XRP blockchain and people were using it and losing money to it. And it's like, did you hear the company announce that they launched it? No, you didn't. So why are you using something fake on the blockchain? That usage will actually, what's the word? Not continue, connect? Go, whatever. Ripple's working with a number of central banks in countries right now to help them develop their own central bank digital currency and or usage of the Ripple stablecoin on top of the XRP ledger, the end of the lawsuit, and also, oh gosh, what's the other thing? Lawsuit, stablecoin. I'm missing one piece of this gigantic puzzle. But online, when I read around, people believe that this is going to be the catalyst for XRP finally breaking free. Once the lawsuit is no longer there and other coins have to deal with a potential lawsuit, there are rumors, whatever. I keep seeing them floating around that apparently, allegedly, maybe Solana is now being investigated. This is what I'm constantly seeing online. Everyone keeps writing about it. As far as I know, it's not substantiated. It makes sense. As the SEC has said, every coin is a security. And so, sure. So people think that once all these things take place and are lined up, XRP's free to roam higher into the stratosphere. But a lot of people are giving very intense numbers. So like, once again, I can totally see a $7 XRP, totally can see it. $12, yeah, it's I can see it, you know, if it moves up. $15 is like on a good bull run. $28, this bull run is like, I'm not gonna knock it, it's possible. $250? I think we'd need about 14 more central banks, a couple of other countries, and we'd need like a really big like coin burn or something happening. Chad Steingraber, apparently an XRP community figure and lead game designer, recently sparked discussions with his bold prediction that XRP could go to $250 next year. Despite the lack of concrete reasoning for his forecast, he stirred speculation within the community, talking about all the other stuff that we've just gone over. I have not, as of late, seen any Cardano price predictions. I have not seen any for, what are these other coins? All the other stuff out there. Very, very few. I keep seeing Ethereum stuff, XRP stuff, and Bitcoin stuff. Nearly on a loop, especially for Ethereum. You know, accumulation and all that, and there not being a lot of Ethereum left on exchanges. So I guess that's all the price stuff, I guess, that we currently have right now. I think I missed this. I don't know how I missed this, but if you missed it, then here it is. A couple days ago, MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin. Once again, I don't think I spoke about it. They had 214,400 Bitcoin. They now have 226,331 Bitcoin. Another 11,931 Bitcoin for roughly around $800 million. The price did not react well to that news, which was also like, what? Because we keep having news over and over that any outflows we might have had to the ETFs, there's always a corresponding whale news story. If you miss it, about 7 or 8 days ago as well, there was like a really big one. The day we got the news of the Mt. Gox thing, the re-giving the money back to people who it was stolen from, and prices dipped. 3 hours after, someone bought almost $1 billion, a billion with a B, dollars worth of Bitcoin on the Gemini crypto exchange. And also, the price was like, meh. So yeah, they have essentially taken away another 11,931 Bitcoin for millionaires and billionaires. They will never be able to own an entire coin. And also from everyday normal people. They've essentially taken away around couple million people if you did the evenly distributed Bitcoin thing. Will never be able to have or own these coins, but that's just what these companies do, because for some reason there's that loop again. We're in a bit of a weird loop right now within the world, where people have really quickly forgotten 2008. And, fair enough if you were maybe too young or weren't paying attention. But we're in a situation where, once again, especially in crypto, people are actively loving the idea of wealthy people getting into this space, accumulating as much crypto as they want, and literally leaving scraps for you. So I keep seeing people, and it's very easy, on Twitter, people, sometimes the things they say. For instance, some people on Twitter will write, I have 8 Ethereum. I've been accumulating for a number of years. I finally got 8 Ether. And then you see the news of the accumulation levels for Ethereum. And these people will retweet and be like, isn't this amazing that all the rich people are buying up all the coins that are meant for us? Same exact thing is happening with Bitcoin. The guy from, people are still talking about the CEO of Dell. How he's going to bring Bitcoin to brand new heights. And it's like, you haven't learned that these people don't care about us or care for us. That we're not meant to be in their world. If you ever, maybe at some point in the future, hang around a bunch of very wealthy, affluent people, you hear the way that they talk about people who don't have money. I think we'd live in a very, very, very different world. Yeah. So MicroStrategy bought a whole bunch of new BTC. Fantastic, wonderful. They're richer than they were before. Amazing. I would have loved for the news to have been over the course of a 24-hour period. Several million new Bitcoin wallets went online, and 11,900 Bitcoin were accumulated in total by, hundreds of thousands of millions of people around the world who have joined the market because they realize that fiat is garbage. But nope, it all went to one entity, just one. That's the Saylor MicroStrategy news. Moving along. Also in interesting news, nothing is wrong with this news, but I'm growing lightly suspicious of activities that are happening. Binance has just announced that it has now integrated Tether onto the Ton network. Ton being the Telegram, the texting app. A number of years ago, they created the Telegram Open Network. The SEC and the ABC and everyone else to deal with the US dollar swiftly jumped them. I don't know what other word to use there. And basically told them, you cannot make another version of the US dollar, especially not one on an app. This was during the fear of Facebook coin. The coin disappeared for a number of years, resurfaced as, I think it's called the Open Network now, but it's still used on Telegram. And quite recently, they've been getting a lot of attention. They're popping up everywhere. I keep seeing people talking about it. I assume a lot of these are bots and or paid people. I mean, if we can be completely honest, I don't think that the Telegram, hear me out, I don't think that the Telegram Open Network, unless you know, is like the most popular coin in the world. I know people are using it, and people, of course, on the app, because Telegram is known for... people use Telegram to find information about garbage that they should not be buying. And then they buy that garbage, and then they get confused when it gets rug pulled. So there's a lot of people on there. But now they're putting Tether on top of Telegram, which is like, okay. Users can start depositing and withdrawing using the Telegram associated blockchain. On the 19th of April, Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino and Telegram CEO Pavel Durov issued a joint statement at the Token 2049 conference, announcing the issuance of Tether on Ton. Since then, Tether's offer on Ton has already exceeded $500 million. This positions Telegram as the 6th largest blockchain in terms of Tether on it, with the top 3 being Tron, Ethereum, and Solana. So I'm going to be nice here. Cool. What? That's insane. That's awesome. Can't wait to see it. I don't know. Tether keeps making more Tether. People keep writing some of the weirdest articles I've ever seen. I mean, you know, if you are really trying to be a terrible person, you know, you're doing it. There's a whole bunch of articles that keep and have been popping up since 2017, trying to stir confusion as to how Tether keeps making more Tether. And I mean, it's something, literally out of the 1800s. Like, you see lightning strike and you go, oh my gosh, it must have been Zeus. Like that kind of thing. Tether has constant audits on Tether. So we, the public, always know how much money they have, how many treasury bills they have, how many bonds they have, how much US dollars they're holding, you name it, to be able to create more Tether. There's a large amount of investors behind the scenes who keep giving money to the people from Tether to create new Tether. Because, you know, the way that it works is that as the fees are happening, the people who have invested in Tether also make a portion of this fees, and they get paid back perpetually, if not forever, through the actual thing. So we know that new money has to go into the company for them to actually be able to create new coins. And we know this because we hear this from the crypto exchanges as well, who would not be listing a coin like this that was fraudulent or terrible or didn't actually have any money. And when I say 2017 and 2018 and 2019, it's because people years ago, remember how I told you there was this person who I met years ago who was asking me how a Bitcoin ATM worked. And I was like, well, you put the money in and then, you know, like you get Bitcoin on your wallet. And he was like, but how? And I was like, well, you put it into the machine and then, you know, you hold up your phone to it. But how? He's like, what happens to that US dollars that you put inside there? And I was like, well, with any ATM issuer, and especially as this one goes backwards, the person who owns the ATM is swapping you Bitcoin for US dollars. And he was like, but where does the money go? And I was like, sir, please get out of my vicinity because you sound completely nuts. So in the same exact thing, people used to ask years ago and used to say years ago that someone was sitting in a room on a computer and simply creating more Tether, like literally adding a zero and going, yeah, I did it. And I was like, no, that's not how Tether's created. So a lot of these articles are popping up once again, and it's because Tether has become so big and so powerful. Tether's buying, the company is buying a whole bunch of other companies, and they're buying a lot of I think we had news before that they're buying a couple of like European companies, and there's some things in the States as well that basically have like documentation allowing them to do X, Y, and Z in other countries. And basically all the nonsense that comes about Tether is always from companies who are trying to create their own stable coins, or created another one years ago that no one uses and doesn't work. So yeah, more Tether spreading across more chains makes, and I mean air quotes here, makes it more decentralized, but also shows just how strong the market is getting. It should be on all the major blockchains, because that would show that we have a very strong market. But I think we're getting, I mean, listen, if they put some on Telegram, I think the market's doing pretty okay. I think I don't think there's any on XRP. I think there are discussions about putting it on Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. There's a whole thing right now surrounding Bitcoin and stablecoins. They're trying to make some native Bitcoin stablecoins, and also there's discussions around Tether. And there's another chain also. I don't remember what it is. So cool. I'm not sure why stablecoins are in vogue right now, but why the heck not? I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. It would be absolutely lovely to see a $1 million Bitcoin next year, or a $10 million Bitcoin. But, you know, we might have to wait a little bit longer. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.